This is going to be a tier list of the most spiritually Israeli support weapons in Helldivers 2. Okay, so I finished my tiers. This is our current lineup. So at the top, we have high testosterone support weapons, also known as test. We can also do like... Fuck, how do you spell Trenbolone? Close enough, dude. Trenbolone support weapons. This will be like almost high test, like natural. Okay, let's do naturally high test and then Trenbolone. Like you just have to be in the know. And then the next one can be like peptides, right? This is actually a very broad category. When I'm referring to peptides here, I mean like the ones that make your physique better, because I know there's a vast amount of difference between individual peptides. It's like putting like, if you're in the know, you know what I'm talking about. So we're skipping these tiers because I don't really give a shit. And then we have actually a piece of shit. Pretty self-explanatory, but they just suck. Like everyone just agrees that it's a piece of shit. Then we have retard diving. If you have someone you know who's retarded and they play Helldivers 2, this is probably one of the weapons that will go in here in this category. Actually, I'm gonna go niche. That's my next one. Like, there's like a niche like use case for some of these weapons. Anyways, then we got IDF go-tos. So if a weapon sucks and someone like swears by this weapon, that's where it's going. But like it actually sucks in reality. But like, no, it's so good on difficulty 6. Fuck you. It's going in here. Then we have spiritually Israeli. These reserved for the worst offenders. And then we have LARP. That's really self-explanatory. This is where we're going to put the one true flag. They're either just like really good at the game or really fucking annoying. So that's reserved for there. Alright. If I haven't made it clear enough, this is obviously only the blue support weapons. I don't even know like what the actual name is, but yeah. Okay. So the reason I wanted to make this list in the first place was actually because of the railgun. Like this is just such a like naturally high test weapon. You need to have insane accuracy in order to reach its maximum efficiency, especially on the bot front, which is like its absolute peak. You can do really well on the bot front if you can just have a little finesse and master the charge time and the precision shots. This also goes for the AMR. These are both naturally high test weapons. Like it's just high skill. If you're not good enough, just say that, dude. You know what I mean? I fucking hate that. It keeps doing that. All right, next one. Oh, dude, Maxi Gun. This is going to. So it's actually really good on the appropriators, but everyone who says this thing is good never uses it on the appropriators. So I just don't want to hear it. These are like difficulty 6 demons. So we're going on spiritually Israeli. Maybe IDF go. It could go on any. This one works. This one works. This one works. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go with IDF go-tos for this one, actually. All right, next one. So, Leveler. Where is that thing? It came to mind. Leveler. That's a retard diving weapon. If you can't hit a single shot, this is your go-to weapon. For whatever reason, a lot of people think that the Leveler can one-shot a Bile Titan when it can't. Like its explosion cannot. I think its projectile combined with the explosion can, but its projectile, like without it and just an explosive weapon, like explosive damage, can't one-shot a Bile Titan. And people get that wrong a lot, which is really odd. Yes, it can one-shot a Factory Strider. That is a valid use case. But it's just such like a gimpy weapon. Like, it can't kill Bile Titans, let alone Spore Titans. And if you want to finesse, do a little like old trick out of the playbook for a factory strider, go under it and spray it with a flamethrower. Because it's actually insane. Have you seen what's it called? The crisper against that thing? It gets melted. A crisper versus a factory strider. But some people like to bring a leveler, So it's like just a noob tube. So this goes in retard diving. Next, we have this thing, Solo Silo. So it's actually solid on the bots. It does the exact same thing as the leveler, except it just has like infinite range, I assume. I don't know where to put this. It's actually pretty solid, and I don't despise it as much as the leveler. I'll go with peptide tier. Recoilless, it's actually really solid. It's such a go-to weapon. Like, it's so basic. Peptide. Spear. It kind of fucking sucks. But it got buffed to have one more rocket on the back, and that really helped. It has a good niche on the Spore Burst strain for killing those Spore Burst Bile Titans. I guess they're just Spore Burst Titans because they don't spew bile. But since they have higher health, the breakpoints for the spear are way better than the recoilless on that front and sub faction actually. So it has a good niche. To be fair, is it a good niche? No. Is it fun? Yeah. We'll go niche. Quasar peptides. Okay, so hold on. I'm gonna make you fast there. So Quasar and Eats, they actually do the exact same amount of damage. They're actually incredibly solid support weapons that I can get behind any day. So those are both going here. They do literally the exact same amount of damage, but this has like a longer cooldown, and I just personally prefer Eats. Then we have C4. This is actually, it takes finesse to use this thing. I agree it's high skill. If you're doing it with stealth, that's for sure high test. We're putting this in the Trenbolone tier, right? Exceptional on the bot front. Actually incredibly solid on the bug front from my experience. Give it a try, man. And the warbond that it's in is such, it opens up a new avenue on the bot front in terms of playstyle. So for sure worth picking up. What's his name? Commando. So Commando is basically just like an Eat, and that's his entire identity. Two shots from the Commando is equal to a bit over one Eat. So I mean, if you're running an all expendable loadout, having like the extra anti-tank support on the difficulty 10 is basically a necessity. So if you're bringing Eats, you're probably also bringing the Commando. So peptides tier. So Napalm. This is an interesting one. So when it came out, it was really solid, but I never thought it was as exceptional as people were saying. I know it can do really well against dragon roaches, but dragon roaches are just roaches. Dragon roaches are just so terribly designed that's like nobody wants to play against them anyway. So like they have a niche use case against dragon roaches, but everywhere else I feel like it's just B. Like a really solid B tier. Like it's not bad, but it's just like whatever. It's kind of forgettable, if that makes sense. They're not actively bad. It's just like right in the middle of the pack. It's for sure a B tier weapon. I think I might create a new category for this one. Boom. So this is the Epoch. When it first came out, it had, I think, 10-10 spread. And if you don't know, basically every other weapon in the game has a spread under 1. So It has basically 10 times, over 10 times the spread as every other weapon in the game, which is concerning. But learning from Arrowhead's expectations, you can see that it's really easy to fuck up, especially on a game where you have like 2 million copies sold. It's easy to confuse a 1.0 to a 10.0. You know, we all make those mistakes, right? But after that got fixed, whether a bug or intentional, it just was kind of whatever. B. Autocannon. Before I think it was what? Reload buff, and I think it got a damage buff. Even before that, it was just the best on everything. After the railgun nerfs from 2 years ago, it's always been a very consistent weapon on every faction, even on sub factions, which is incredibly surprising. This thing on flak mode, choose through appropriators, and if it's of course good on bots. I think its worst is probably bugs. Actually, I take that back because it staggers chargers really well. Definitely a niche use case there, but it's just been very solid, and there's been like a ton of power creep among enemies, so it got some good buffs. I think it's in a solid place right now. I think it's B plus tier. I don't think it hits A minus. This might be a shock to some of you people out there, but let me reaffirm that I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm making this video and you're watching it. So this is going at the top of B and not A. Laser cannon. So from my experience with laser cannon, it's just you try to use it as a precision weapon, right? Because lasers are really precise in this game, but then you realize it kind of sucks at doing that job. From my experience, it's been a lot better, especially on the Spore Burst strain, from using it more as like a long-range flamethrower with anti-tank capabilities, if that makes sense. So I would put it as more of like an HMG type, where you can still shoot chaff, right? But if you need to kill like a Hulk, you have that option to do so. But if you're going to be using this on the bot front, it still performs incredibly well. Not incredibly well. It still performs decently well as a precision weapon that's more in tune with the AMR. But if you're using it on Spore Burst or bugs, I haven't really tried it on the Luminant, but I would use it more like a light them on fire first weapon instead of holding down the beam on a single target, if that makes sense. So it actually has grown on me as a niche use case. If you're using it on Spore Burst strain, that's actually naturally high test. But most people aren't using like that, and you can just use the I forgot the primary name of the laser cannon weapon. Who cares? This is going in B tier. Okay, this thing fucking sucks. This thing is shit. It's not good at anything. It has terrible ammo economy. It barely does any damage, and its auto targeting reeks. This is spiritually Israeli, actually. It's free. At least I think it's free. You can't. I think everyone gets it when they first buy the game now. But whatever. Next one. Air Burst. If you're good with this thing, you know, props to you. But chances are you're an average player and you kill half your team with it every shot. So this thing is in retard diving. because it gets your team killed a lot. Next, we have the grenade launcher. This goes on retard diving. It's really easy to use. If you ask anyone who's soloed on bugs before, they're probably using this in the supply pack, and that's probably the two biggest crutches ever. Not too much skill required, I will say. This niche use case, it kind of sucks. Like, it has anti-tank capabilities, but on Spore Burst Strain, hear me out. This could have a shot at Tread Malone, maybe even naturally high test, because on the Spore Burst Strain, which is the hardest sub-faction in the game currently, as of this current patch, which is right before the Warhammer Warbond and after Exo Experts, if you shoot the ground with the de-escalator, it actually doesn't kill you or shock you. Like, there's no proximity explosion. So the handler cannot be killed by the de-escalator's own shots. Like, you can kill your teammate if he's standing right next to you, but if you shoot your feet, you cannot be killed by it for whatever reason. I'm not sure if this is a bug or a buff, but definitely take advantage of it if it's still going on. Because on the Swarber strain, they're swarming you like crazy. They're always going to be up on you. And so if you can shoot straight up on yourself and you don't take any damage, and they're taking full damage, that's definitely a niche use case. But everything else is kind of just mediocre with this weapon. It doesn't really do its job of stunning stuff too well. Using on the bots, from my experience, hasn't been too great. I think there's better options for the stuff that's good at killing. It tries to do everything, but it takes on all the negatives of trying to do everything. It tries to be the jack of all trades, but it just takes... It doesn't do anything exceptionally well. Like, it has anti-tank capabilities. If you shoot a charger enough times, right, it's going to die. But it's not a worthy investment. And it's not too good at stunning them either. If you're not the host, there's so many bugs with this game. And it's something about the host. If you're shooting this when you're the host, when you're not the host, it gives this weapon too much variance in terms of its stunning capability for stuff like chargers. If they're rushing you down, your teammates down, or a sentry down, it's just wildly inconsistent with that. And so I wouldn't rely on its stunning capability for that. So with this, going niche. Then we have the belt-fed grenade launcher, BFGL. It's like whatever. I mean, I'm gonna remove the actually a piece of shit tier because I'm just not using it. I'm just putting it there. These three or four. Anyways, so BFGL, it's like alright. Alright, just use the grenade launcher. That's, what else can I say? IDF go-tos. This thing, it's solid, but now it just gets mogged really hard by the by this guy. It's actually insane, the difference between these two guys. It's a lot better with the expendable. These are two very similar weapons. The expendable one just does it better. Its only drawback is it doesn't have a scope, but this one's scope is only like a 1.2x zoom, and you can't really go in first person and aim with a reticle. But you're not going to really be using this on bots anyways. So this is for sure just, I would say, a direct upgrade to this guy. Um, the experimental machine gun is just way better than the stalwart. So with that, I'll go. I can't even put it in niche. It's a solid weapon, but it's not like. I'll go peptides. I'll go Trembolone. Then I'll put this guy here. Actually, no, it doesn't deserve that. It's actually really easy to use. It does not deserve to be near my beloved C4. This thing kind of like whatever. Like, who gives a shit? Nobody really cares about this weapon. IDF go-tos. People who swear by this weapon play on difficulty 6 or have less than like 20 hours on the game. HMG, if you like this weapon, I don't really care. I know it's good on Illuminate appropriators. So, you do you, dude. I think it's not that good, but agree to disagree. Then we have this guy. This was already, on launch, was a decent support weapon. This was maybe a B. No, it was higher than that. It was actually busted against Paladins because of like host bug. And then it just got nerfed during the nerf divers era. And Arrowhead never really picked that back up. It just kept catching strays for no reason, even though this thing was already shit. So this is actually spiritually Israeli. Then we have this thing, the spear gun. The spear gun is actually incredibly good, and if you disagree, then you're wrong. This is one of the best support weapons on the bug front, easily. Closes bug holes, staggers, and stops chargers from charging, like in their tracks. Like if they be halfway down the field, charging at full speed at you, and you shoot this thing, it stops. And then it gets confused immediately. So, with that, this is naturally high test, right? So, that goes there. Then we have the Sterilizer. This is spiritually Israeli. It's the worst support weapon in the game. It has a lower pick rate than the One True Flag. And the One True Flag is literally, for the longest time, it was a retexture of the Stun Lance from the Urban Legends Warbond. Like, its hitbox wasn't even adjusted correctly. It was, on all accounts, a just remodel of the Stun Lance for, I think, a year. And then I believe they changed it for where its model now matches its hitbox appropriately. And so this piece of shit had a higher pick rate than this. So this is probably arguably worse than the Flag. Because at least the Flag, like, you can just have some fun. But with this thing, the Sterilizer, what are we doing? Flamethrower. This thing has had a tumultuous and rocky history with Arrowhead. I'm just not going to comment on that because it's Arrowhead. And I'd rather not spike my cortisol right now. But right now, it's actually an incredibly solid weapon. Not too shabby. It's good. Here. Now the Cremator. Oh my god. Cremator. I miss this man. It's my man. The Cremator. This thing is busted. Take this on the Spore Burst strain. It's incredible. It doesn't, for whatever reason, Flame doesn't pop the Spore Burst. I mean, the spores on the Spore Burst strain. If you know what I'm talking about, that means you haven't played on the Spore Burst strain. But essentially, flame weapons, when they kill an enemy on the Spore Burst strain, it doesn't spread its like pheromones or like hormones to the other terminids around it, so they don't get the speed buff. It just kills them and they don't pop, if that makes sense. And it does outstanding against chaff. crazy good against heavies as well, which is surprising. And because your primary like faction that you're using this against is going to be Terminids, they're always going to be coming to you, so range isn't really too big of an issue. And the range isn't too bad at all. It's actually really solid. So with this, I'm going Trenbolone. This will carry you through Spore Burst Strain. If I had to choose one stratagem, like to the day I die, it'd be this guy. At least on the bug front. Spore Burst Strain. If I'm choosing bots, I'm going Railgun. Alright, so now we have the Chainsword or Chainsaw. I don't think that's what it's actually called. Oh, Defoliation Tool. There we go. So this thing sucks, and anyone who tells you otherwise is lying, or they're playing on difficulty 6. On difficulty 10, this thing is unusable. This thing is spiritually Israeli. I want to put it on IDF go-tos. No, spiritually Israeli. It's terrible. Hammer. When this thing first came out, the explosive hammer was actually really good. It was an incredibly fun weapon. And then I came back to it, and then I realized, wow, I'm having a terrible time, right? And I'm just trying to figure out why. And I just don't know. If you want to have fun with this weapon, use the supply backpack, or else you're not going to have fun. So this weapon would be is really fun if you get the correct seed. So if you're playing with Terminids and you get any form of Spore Charger, you're dead if you hit it. Or Spewers, either Nursing or Bile Spewers, you're dead. Try to use this on a Bile Titan. You can kill it. It's going to take however many rounds out of 7. Probably like 5, realistically, of hitting its leg and trying to finesse it. That's kind of retarded. So it's really difficult and frustrating to use. But it's really fun against Chargers and Impalers and Chaff. Sometimes when you swing it, it just doesn't hit the ground for whatever reason. Like it just misses. Like it phases through the ground. And the explosive charge doesn't go off. So that can be really frustrating, especially on the Terminids, when you're literally swinging the hammer to the ground to light off the explosive charge, because it doesn't hurt you. You can hit the ground and everything around you dies, but you won't. Sometimes it just won't pop. That's really annoying. So I've had really high highs with this and really low lows. It's just kind of it's the amount of fun you have with this weapon is subject to like way too many factors that are just out of your control, due to like the terrible enemy design primarily, and from the stuff that this game doesn't tell you. And even on the bots, like it's good against factory striders. Again, if you hit in the feet, I think it's what, 2 shot? I think it's his back feet. Maybe 3. Anyways, and it's 1 hit against Hulks. But it really tears it down. War Striders take 2 hits, and there's only 7 shots. So you can have max kill 3 War Striders, which isn't exactly a lot. So yeah, it's just kind of the bastard child of terrible enemy design in this game. Like it just kind of gets shoved in the corner. Like it would be so much more fun if a lot of things didn't exist, but that's not the reality we live in. So this goes, if you asked me when it first came out, I would have put in Trenbolone. But I don't think I can justify that anymore. It's just not fun anymore. Boom. Retard type, no idea. So, this is the final tier list Take a screenshot. You're gonna need this for when you go on D10. If you're playing on difficulty 6, don't fucking comment. If you don't play on D10 every single time, you're not a man. Yeah. Peace.